Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of PJ Codes. In this video we're going to do a part 2 of some pretty basic HTML elements. So in this video we're going to talk about HTML lists, forms, and tables. And basically what those cover are basically things like unordered list, ordered list, proper tables where you can store information in, and also we're going to talk about some forms, right? So like think about a contact form. You go to a website and you see a contact form, you want to sign up for, say, a gym membership or something. So that's a contact form, and basically the way the browser enables you to display that is using an HTML form element. So we're going to get into all of those things, and definitely stay tuned, and let's just continue. And please do me a favor, and please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video, and remember to hit that bell icon so you get those notifications every time we drop a new video. Now, what exactly is a list? So a list in HTML is basically an attribute that tells the browser that, hey, if I have a list of fruits, I want to list them out in a certain way, right? So think bullet points. Now, say you go to Microsoft Word and you have you want to create a list of your favorite fruits, right? So you're going to write banana, apple, oranges. I was trying to think if one of those was a fruit or not, but it is. And basically what you do is you go to the top, you select a bullet, you select a list, and then basically you have bullet points of every fruit that is your favorite fruit, right? And in HTML, we can do the same exact thing. So what we can do is we can create something called an unordered list. Now, an unordered list will basically allow you to just create a list with just bullet points, no numbers. That's when an ordered list comes into the picture. So an ordered list basically allows you to list out in order of numerical. So 1, 2, 3, all the way to n numbers, whatever it is that you want to list, right? So that's basically, in a nutshell, that's what a list is. Now, what's a form? A form is basically something that you go to a browser. Say you go to a website and you want to sign up for a gym membership, or you want to sign up for a newsletter. So a form is basically somewhere where you enter your name, your first name, your last name, your contact information, and then you hit submit. That, my friends, is a form. Very basic, very simple. Now, you might have seen some complicated forms on the websites, and you might be wondering, hey PJ, when are we going to get to start building out like these cool looking forms and with these cool layouts? And to that, I want to say we'll get to those, but let's just get the basics down. Let's just nail down the very foundations, and then we'll get into some more fancy things down the road. Now let's get into something called tables, and everybody's familiar with what tables are. Now, when you were in school, when you were a little kid and you went to the guidance counselor and they gave you a schedule for all your classes, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way to Friday. Basically, that's a table. Everybody knows what a table is, right? But if you don't, that's the definition of a table. Now, how are these tables created in HTML? How do you go to a website and so you go to your favorite gym and you want to see what their weekly schedule is? Now, the way that particular website displays a schedule is using an HTML table element. And if you're watching this video for the very first time, and if you have a weaker foundation in the HTML basics and web development basics, definitely check out my old video, the previous video, which is part 1 of this, in which we talked about pretty basic HTML elements such as paragraphs, headings, images, audio tags, and watching that video will really lay a good foundation for this video. So I definitely recommend you checking out that video. And by the end of this video, you're gonna have a pretty basic understanding how tables work, how forms work, and how you can list items using unordered lists and ordered lists. Okay guys, here we go. So in the last video, what we did is we created a basic web page, and what we did is we created headings using H tags like H1s, H2s. We created some paragraph text, and then what we did is we created some custom spacing between lines using the break tag. And then we went ahead and created some images and some links as well. So now in this video, let's just begin with lists. Here we go. So let's say I want to create an unordered list of my favorite fruits. And the way I would do that is I'm just going to create a heading here. So since I've used H3, let's make it H2s was my last one. Yeah, so let's make this an H3. And the way I did that, again, sorry I didn't dictate that for you. Let's open caret. Let's do H3, close caret. And then we're going to type, this is a list of my favorite fruits. Close caret and close the H3. And beneath that, we're going to create an unordered list. And the way we do that is, so we're going to open caret. And then we're going to type UL. And UL stands for, you guessed it, unordered list. Okay, so we're going to close that. And then we're going to skip a line, and then we're just going to close our UL tag. Okay, all right, so we're going to skip a line, and now we're going to do, we're going to open caret, and then we're going to type in LI. And what LI stands for is list item. Okay, each list has a list item. Okay, and each list item will represent a fruit. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and close this, and Sublime did it for me automatically. All right, so we're going to do banana. And then, so now instead of skipping a line and opening and typing the same thing over and over again, I'm going to show you guys a neat little shortcut. So if you're on a Mac, hold down Command, Shift, and D. And now that's going to duplicate that line for you. And I believe if you're on a PC, I believe it's Control, Shift, and D. Okay. So that's that, and now let's type in our next fruit, and that's going to be apple. Okay, and then same thing, Command Shift D, and let's do orange. Okay, so we're going to hit save, and then we're going to go back to the browser, hit refresh, and there we go. This is a list of my favorite fruits: banana, apple, orange. And notice the bullet points, because this is an unordered list. But what if we wanted to create an ordered list, right? So say, for example, I want to create a list of my favorite movies. So how would we do that? So let's begin. So in our code, we're going to skip a line for readability. All right, now since we have an H3, let's just create an H4. All right, so now we're going to open caret, H4, close caret, and then we're going to type, this is a list of my favorite movies. And we're going to close caret, and we're going to close the H4. And then we'll skip a line. And now since this is an ordered list, what we can type is open caret, and we're going to type OL, an ordered list. And OL stands for ordered list. Okay? And same drill, we're going to skip a line, and we're going to create a list item, and we're going to close it. I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to close it again. Same for an ordered list. We're going to close that tag, and now we're going to write, okay, my favorite movie is, let's see, Independence Day. Second favorite movie is going to be, let's see, Ice Age. This is not my second favorite movie, just so you know. Third favorite movie, let's do Battlefield LA. Actually a pretty good movie, not gonna lie. Alright, so we hit save. Cancel on this annoying Sublime message. Go back to the browser, hit refresh, and there we go. This is a list of my favorite movies. And notice here we have a numerical list opposed to a bulleted list. And again, just to recap, this is an unordered list because there's no order, and this is an ordered list. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So that in a nutshell, my friends, is a list. Very simple. Okay, my friends, so we've finished now talking about lists. Now let's move on to tables. Now let's say we want to create a table that tracks our monthly expenses along with the item we spent them on and just gives us a total at the end of the month. How can we do that in a table. How do we display that information using a table? So let's get right into it. Okay, so first things first, right beneath this ordered list again, because OL, right? OL stands for ordered list. Right beneath that, we're going to skip a line and we're going to just make a P tag, and we're going to say monthly expenses. All right, and then beneath that, we're going to create a table. Now, creating a table tag will tell the browser that this particular element is a table. So the way we do that is we're going to open caret. We're going to type in table. Okay, pretty simple. And then we're just going to skip a line and close that table. Now, think of HTML as a mini HTML document, and I'll get to that in a couple of seconds. And inside that, we're going to have all the information for our tables. Okay, and basically, if you remember back to our first video, remember how we said that in an HTML video you have a head and a body and then a footer, right? The same goes for tables. Okay, so the way we do that is we're going to have a heading, right? So we're going to open caret and we're going to say THEAD, not thed, T head, which stands for table heading. We're going to open that up, okay, and then we're going to create a table row. Okay, just type in TR, and everything in HTML is row based. Now inside that, we're going to skip a line, and then we're going to create our first heading. So TH, table heading, and this could be item, okay, and then we're going to duplicate that, excuse me, and then we're going to say amount spent, and we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to say let's see, maybe we can say spent by, or just a date. We can just do a date, that's fine. And you know what, we can even make our date the first item. And you see what I did there? So if I want to move around a line, this is another neat Sublime trick. What you can do is hit Command and Control and hit the up or down arrow, and now you can drag lines around. It's pretty cool. Same for PC, I believe. For PC, I think it's a Control Shift and Control Option. I'm not sure about PC. Definitely check that out. But if you're on a Mac, it's Command, Control, and up or down to drag the lines around. So our table is going to consist of a date column. It's going to consist of an item and the amount of money that we spent on it. Okay, now that's our head tag. Now outside the head we have a body, right? So we're going to open caret, type in T body, all right, hit enter, and now we have our table body. Okay, now inside our table body we're going to have a row. So we're going to have, let's tackle our first row. Okay, so we're going to do TR. Okay, and inside that we're going to have something called a table data. So inside a table row we have different table datas, right? So TD, and hit enter, and we're going to say, we're going to go by the order of this, right? So our date, our item, and the amount spent. So our date could be starting from 2021, 01, January 1st, 2021. Okay, we'll skip a line and TD again, and now our item is going to be an Xbox. Okay, and then we're going to duplicate the line again. I keep saying skip, but I mean duplicate. And the amount spent is, let's say, so I don't know how much an Xbox goes for. Let's say, I don't know, say $500. I'm guessing that's pretty cheap. And then we'll do USD. Okay, so that's our first item. Okay, our first row, if you will. Now let's copy that and let's paste it. Okay, and let's create our second item, and that was spent on January 2nd. That could be a PlayStation, and that could go for, I don't know, maybe, is it 600? I don't know. And let's create our third row, and that was on the next day. If you're spending this much money on game consoles every day, that's pretty awesome. Good going. and this could be a switch, right? And this is, I don't know, the $800. Sure, why not? Okay, so that's that. And now let's just save, and let's go to our browser, hit refresh. And now here we go. You have your date column, you have your item, right? And you have the amount spent here. Okay. Now let's say we want to create a sum, right? Let's say we want to create a sum for these expenditures. Okay. So we can just do something like, but in order to do that, we're gonna have to create a table footer. So that's gonna be T foot and hit enter. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, we have a table heading in which we have our actual headings, right, for the table. Inside our table body is where we have the actual rows, which is the meat of the table itself. And now we want to create a very last row, at the bottom. That's going to represent our sum, our sum total. All right, so we're going to open caret, tr, hit enter, skip a line, and then we're going to create another table data, and that's going to be sum. And now for this one, we can just create 3 dashes, why not? And then we're going to do td again. And what's 500 plus 800 plus 600? So that's going to be 1900, if I'm right. So that's going to be 1900 US dollars. Okay, let's go back. And there we go. Now we have our date column, which represents our dates. Then we have our items column, and we have the amount spent, and this is our grand total. And that's tables, my friends. We'll get into styling this down the road, but I just wanted to introduce you guys to the basics of a table. And now let's get into forms. Okay, my friends, so now let's talk about forms. So what is a form? Again, a form is basically a set of elements, a collection of elements that allow you to input some sort of data and then possibly submit that data into, say, a database, or send that information to a server. Okay. Now here we go. Let's create our first form. So let's say we want to create a form for just a simple sign-up form that's going to have 3 attributes. It's going to have a collection for, it's going to have an input collection for your name, your first name, your last name, let's say your phone number, email address, and a message that you want to send, along with a button. So let's get right into it. Okay, so the way we do that, let's skip a line here, and let's write open caret, and then we're going to type form, F-O-R-M, hit enter, and let's encapsulate everything inside our form element. So now, say we want to create an attribute, an input collection for name, right? So the way we do that is we can write an input tag. So we just open caret and do input, hit enter. And as soon as you hit enter, Sublime gives you these 2 attributes, and let's just go with them. So we're going to define a type here, and we can just do type equals name, and then name equals name as well. And then we can define something called a placeholder, and that's going to be, I'll show you guys in a second. So actually, let's make this type equals text, excuse me. And this could be first name. Okay. So again, our type is text, and you always want to define a type for an input tag and a name. A name just helps identify the actual element. That's more for semantics, and when you get into things like accessibility and things like that, and we'll get into those things down the road. But let's just hit save just to see, and let's hit refresh. And what do we have here? We can click into it and we can type some stuff, right? Well, that's pretty basic, right? It doesn't tell us anything. So let's create something called a label, and that's going to be our label. And then we can say first name. Okay, and then we can put an asterisk here for required, and then the label can have an attribute called for, and then we're going to have we can enter our attribute for first name, and this is how we relate this label. This is how we correlate this label to this input right here. Okay, let's hit save. Let's hit refresh, and there we go. First name. Okay, does that make sense? Perfect. Now what I notice is some spacing, so let's just make a break tag here for now. Okay, let's drag that down. Okay, just so we add some manual spacing here. Okay, so we have our first name. Now you see how it's blank, there's nothing in there, so we can put something called placeholder text. So the way we do that is inside our input tag we can put placeholder equals quote, it says, and we can put enter your name, ... hit save, go back to your browser, hit refresh, and now you have it. I'm sure you filled these out online somewhere, signing up for Netflix or HBO or something. Any contact form will have exactly this. Okay, and let's do the same thing for our last name. So we're gonna just copy that and paste it, and then we can do last name, same here, last name, and you know what, your first name, enter your last name, and then we hit save, switch to the browser, hit refresh, there we go, first name and then last name. Okay, don't worry about the styling of this. We'll get this down packed down the road. Okay, and then let's create a so that I moved this down to the next line. If you notice, I just put a break tag. This is just a manual break here. So let's do that. Now let's create a thing for an input, for email. Okay, and then we're going to put, for our label, we're going to write email. Okay, and then email address, and then email, and then we're going to define a type here. Now the type will tell the browser that, hey, this is an input tag for an email, so we can type in this, enter your email, and hit enter, refresh. There we go. And now as soon as you click into these, the autocorrect will, the browser will automatically know that these two are text inputs, and this guy here is an email input. Okay, and we'll get into checking for those and different form validation techniques down the road, but for now we're just building out a very basic form. Okay, and let's do the same for phone number, or yeah, let's do phone number. I'm gonna go phone, and okay, and then for our input type here, let's put tel for telephone. Okay, we're gonna put phone here for our name, and enter your phone and hashtag phone number. They get the message. Okay, and now hit refresh, and now we have it. Enter your phone number. Now the browser knows that this input tag is going to expect a phone number. Okay. All right, where are we? Oh, what happened here? We skipped a line. We skipped down by accident. Now let's say we want to enter a message, right? Now if you wanted to enter a message, this is a pretty small area to enter a big, large message. Say you want to ask for a refund or something. You want like a bigger space to type your message, right? So for that, we have an element called text area, and I'll show you in a minute what that's going to do. So let's open Caret and let's type in text area and just hit enter. Okay, and now let's do placeholder again. Enter your message here. ... Let's hit save. Go back to the browser, hit refresh, and there we go. Now you can type in a message here. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, and now since we have all our necessary, oh, we didn't put a label. Haha. Let's go ahead and put a label. Okay, we're gonna put a label for message. Okay, enter your message. Okay, let's go back. Let's just hit refresh, and there we go. Enter your message. Okay, we'll get into the styling and the semantics of it all later on. Okay, and now let's just go. Now you have all the information, and now let's say you want to submit this information. So you need something called a button. Now there's two ways you can write a button, and we'll get into different ways in a second. So one way is if you were to type just straight up button. Okay, and then inside button we can put a value saying send. Okay, but let's just skip a line here. We're doing all these line breaks because we're not writing any CSS, so that's why we need these line breaks. And there we go, we have a send, and that just automatically refreshes the page. So you can write, this is one way to write a button. Okay, and another way to write a button is using the input, and what our type is, we can just do type equals button, and we go send type. We can do type equals send, name equals send, excuse me, and then our value could be submit. Okay, and let's go back, and there we go, same thing. Okay, it's really preference as to whichever way you choose to write it, but there are also technical variances. There are different considerations when you get into more detailed development, and we're going to get into those in videos to come up. But yeah, hopefully this made sense for you. And look, you have your first sign up form, first name, last name, email address, phone number, and your message. And then we covered tables, and then we had lists. So I hope this made sense to you, and in our next video we're going to get into some more detail. We're going to get into some styling finally, and yeah, it's going to be fun. But definitely reach out if you have any questions, and leave some comments below. Thank you. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed teaching you guys a little bit about some of the HTML basics. Definitely stay tuned for the next video. We're gonna get a lot more involved. We're gonna do a lot more cool stuff. We're gonna actually start building out some pretty fancy features, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.